Hello, my crafty friends. Well, today I have another accordion fun fold card idea to share with you, although this time the accordion fold actually decorates the outside of your card. Hi, it's Lynn Dunn from Stamptastic Designs. Thanks so much for joining me today. In this episode of Stamptastic TV, I have two different card ideas featuring the drapery technique. So this fun fold technique really just creates a nice little decoration for your card. And I have two different ways that you can use this drapery fold in your card making. And after I get done sharing this drapery fold with you, I'm going to share just a couple card ideas with you that I created to use up a 12 by 12 inch piece of patterned paper. Now, the cards in this video feature the In Bloom bundle from Stampin Up. So the bundle includes this stamp set. And they also feature the pierced blooms dies. So these are fun little dies that create this little piercing or this decoration right into the blooms. So I'm going to create the drapery fold with a piece of designer series paper. So I'm using some of the Paper Blooms designer series paper. So this is one of the celebration items that you can choose for free with a $50 purchase. So just a reminder, celebration ends at the end of February. So be sure to grab all of the celebration items that you want to get before the end of this month, because once this month ends, those celebration items are gone for good. Okay, so let's get started and I'll show you how to make this fun little fold. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is cut your patterned paper. So you want to cut a piece of patterned paper that is 10 inches by 4 3/4 inches. So once you have your patterned paper cut, we're going to just put a couple little tick marks, I guess you call it, just some little markers on the side. So we're actually going to cut this paper diagonally, but we're not going to cut it from corner to corner. So we need to measure 3/4 inches up from the bottom. So I'm just going to make a little tick mark here. And then I'm going to go up to this upper corner here, and I'm going to measure down 3/4 inches and just make a little tick mark there. So what we're going to do is cut from this mark to this mark over here to create this drapery fold. All right, so I'm actually going to turn my paper trimmer sideways here so you can kind of see the whole thing in action here. So one of my marks, this 3/4 inch mark here, is right here. So I'm going to line that up in the groove of my paper trimmer. So we'll just kind of hold that in place. And then I'm going to take this top section here and I'm going to line up my other mark. And then I can go ahead and close this. And then I'm going to make my cut. Okay, so you will end up with two pieces, and you can see I have a 3/4 inch wide section here. And then of course I have a much longer section here. So you actually can make two cards just by cutting this one piece of designer paper. So if you think about your 12 by 12 inch sheet of paper, you can actually get, two 10 by 4 3/4 inch pieces of paper from one 12 by 12 inch sheet of paper. So all total, you can make 4 of these drapery cards from one 12 by 12 inch sheet of paper. So pretty cool, right? Okay, so now we have our pieces cut. What I'm going to be doing is using, the front and the back. So if you remember my cards, one of my cards features this particular pattern here. And then my other card features just the back side. So we're going to use both to create our cards today. Okay, so we're just going to take one of our pieces here, one of our diagonal pieces. We're going to start on the wide end here, and we're going to do some scoring. So we're going to line it up at the 2 inch mark, and then we are going to score it. And then we will move it to the 3 inch mark and score it again. Then we will move it to 5 inches. And then to 6 inches. then to 8 inches, and then to 9. So there's a lot of scoring involved, but we are going to accordion fold this together to create that drapery fold. Okay, now that we have all of our scoring done, we're gonna start on the end. We're gonna just start on the large end, I guess. And we are just going to accordion fold on all of our score lines. So this first piece, you can see as I'm accordion folding it, we're gonna have this design on the outside. And this other design is just going to be kind of accented down here in some of the folds of this drapery. So we'll just fold on all these score lines, and then we create this fun little accordion folded drapery design. So this is what we will use to decorate one of our cards. Okay, so if we want to use this side of the paper, the concept is the same. We're just going to make sure that this side of the paper is visible to us as we fold. So we'll start on this longer side and just kind of accordion fold this on all of these score lines. And you can see how nicely our little drapery lays as we do that. Okay, so these are all the pieces that we are going to use, and we can just add a little bit of glue to kind of hold these down in place on our card. Okay, so now that we have all of the pieces cut and ready to go here, let's assemble our card. Okay, so for this first card, I am starting with a piece of Seaside Spray cardstock for the base of my card. And then I cut a 5 1/4 by 4 inch piece of white cardstock. So that's just gonna go right on the front of my card here. And then I'm going to take my little accordion fold here, my little drapery. And what I'm gonna do actually is just glue some of this down. So I'm just adding just a little bit of glue up at the top. You can glue the whole, if you want it completely flat, you can glue the whole thing down. But if you want a little bit of, depth and dimension down here, then just glue the top parts down. So I'm just adding just a little bit of glue up here, just to kind of hold these pieces down. I like to add just a little bit behind here as well, just to kind of hold these pieces in place. Okay, so once you have the pieces glued down, then you can go ahead and add your additional glue up here at the top. And I kind of like to add just a little bit down the side just to hold the sides down a little bit. It still gives it depth and dimension. And then we can go ahead and adhere this right to our white cardstock piece. So I'm going to adhere it just a little bit down from the top, because I'm going to pop up a little piece of cardstock up here on the top. So I'm just going to adhere this down a little bit. So the next thing I did is I just took a 1 by 4 inch piece of Night of Navy cardstock, and I just tore this in half here. And so this is going to be used to just kind of embellish the top part of the card. But I do want to pop this up, so I'm just going to add a couple little dimensionals. That's why I left this open a little bit on the top, because this is pretty thick here. So if you add dimensionals on top of that, then it gets even thicker. So I just adhered it down a little bit so that I could add some dimensionals up at the top. Okay, so now we have our top piece added. Now we can go ahead and just finish decorating it. So we will stamp a little greeting on the bottom. Now what you might notice with the card is, you see how my direction has changed? And that really is based on how I added those little tick marks. So if you add your little tick marks, one up on the left, one down on the right, then you get this design. If you flip it the other direction, then you'll get this design. So you can actually make this, you can make your drapery fold either direction. It's all going to depend on how you cut that initial piece. So I just wanted to make you aware of that, in case you're wondering, how in the world did I get that to look like that? All right, then I just created a little bow with one of the dies in the In Blooms set. And then we'll just go ahead and embellish it with a little pearl. So on the inside, so this is the front. You can add as many embellishments or as few as you want. And then on the inside, I just kind of used up the rest of that paper. So remember, I tore this piece to add to the top of my card. So I took that extra piece and used it on the inside just to kind of decorate up the inside of the card as well. Okay, so pretty simple. So let me show you the next card. Okay, the second card is basically the same concept, except for this time, instead of doing it in portrait style like the last card, I just adhered the drapery fold across my card in landscape style. So it gives it just a little different look, but it's the same concept for creating it. So the exact same measurements, exact same concept. So here's what I did. I showed you earlier how I folded this together. So instead of using this pattern, I folded it so that I could use this particular pattern on the front of our card. So as I mentioned before, you can see how this drapery fold goes this direction and this one goes this direction. Again, that all depends on how you put those little tick marks on your initial piece of pattern paper when you cut it. So if you're cutting it diagonally this way, or if you're cutting it diagonally this way. Okay, so we are again going to start with a 5 1/4 by 4 inch piece of white cardstock. So this is just gonna go right on our card front. And then we can take our little accordion fold and we can add this to our card front. So again, I kind of adhere the sides down and leave the rest kind of free float. So for this one, you are going to adhere it pretty much from the bottom up towards the top. You just have a little bit of space on top. So we're not really going to use dimensionals to go across this one. We're just going to adhere that torn paper right across the top. All right, so I have a 5 1/4. So this is 1 by 5 1/4 inches. I'm just going to tear this piece of Night of Navy cardstock in half, just like I did for the other one. It's just obviously because we've changed direction, our piece is going to be longer because we're doing the landscape style. So we'll just add some glue to this piece, and then we will adhere it across our accordion fold. Then again, we'll go ahead and stamp a greeting. And now I'm just going to finish decorating the card, just kind of using some of those die cuts that are in the In Bloom bundle. So I have this cute little bow here. And then I just cut out some leaves and a little flower. So all of these die cuts were from that particular set. So I'm just going to snip this leaf down a little bit. And then I will just go ahead and add my little embellishments here to the card. So we'll add our leaf and our flower, and it just gives it a really nice touch. And then of course you can embellish it with any kind of embellishments that you have. So I'm just using a little pearl. All right, super cute, huh? And then on the inside, I did the same kind of thing. I did a little decorating with the same type of embellishments that I used on the outside. Used up some of that pattern paper to coordinate with the outside of the card. And of course, I used the rest of my torn paper here to decorate the inside. So it's a great way to use up those scraps, decorate the inside and the outside of your card. All right, so that's card number 2. Okay, so when we started this video, I told you that I was using a 12 by 12 inch sheet of pattern paper. So basically I can create 4 cards with this drapery fold. So I can create, 2 of these and 2 of these with the drapery fold. But then I also have some additional paper, of course, that I can use on the inside to do a little decorating. But I also created 2 additional cards just using some of the leftover paper. Because remember, you're only using about a 10-inch long piece, so that gives you you know, like a 2 by 12 inch piece to kind of play around with. So you can make a couple of these cards, a couple of these cards, and you'll still have enough paper to decorate the insides of your cards. So in the tutorial that I am providing with this video, I'll give you the directions on how I created these additional cards, and then I'll give you all of the directions for creating the drapery fold cards. So be sure to download the printable tutorial. You can find the link in the description below this video. Okay, so there you go. Now you have two different ways that you can use this drapery fold in your card making. And you also have some additional cards that you can create to use up some of the paper from that 12 by 12 inch sheet of pattern paper that we used to create these two cards. And if you enjoyed these card ideas, feel free to download the printable tutorial. You can find the link in the description below this video. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know by liking it and sharing it with your friends. And leave me a comment below to let me know what you enjoyed most about the video and the cards shared here today. Have a fun and creative day, my friends. Take care.